National Grid's new bid for Long Island gas pipeline. Pros and cons. Staten Island gas pipeline revival. Trump's influence and environmental concerns. New York pipeline back. NESE project review begins amid controversy. Natural gas pipeline controversy. Trump's revival and environmental concerns. National Grid's new bid for Long Island gas pipeline. Pros and cons. The looming energy crisis. Why a new pipeline is needed to bring more natural gas to Long Island. Imagine a scenario where the lights flicker and the heat goes out on a cold winter morning. This is the reality that Long Island residents may face if the energy supply is not addressed. The truth is, the region is facing an energy crisis, and it's not just a matter of inconvenience, it's a matter of safety. But what about the cost? National Grid estimates that the pipeline would increase customer bills by an average of 3.5%, or $7.50 a month, for the 600,000 customers on Long Island. However, the company argues that the benefits far outweigh the costs. So, what's the solution? National Grid's new-term solution of relying on a network of compressed natural gas trucks hauling critically needed supply on the coldest days to injection points around the system has reached capacity. The question remains, is the cost of this pipeline worth the benefits? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Staten Island gas pipeline revival. Trump's influence and environmental concerns. In a surprising turn of events, a long-dormant gas pipeline project off the coast of Staten Island is back on the table, thanks to former President Donald Trump's intervention. Initially proposed in 2018 by Williams, an Oklahoma-based energy company, the plan to lay a natural gas pipeline underwater along Staten Island's south and east shores faced significant opposition. Environmental concerns and public backlash, coupled with resistance from then-Governor Andrew Cuomo, led to its suspension. However, Trump's support has reignited the project. During negotiations with Governor Kathy Hochul, which primarily focused on congestion pricing, the pipeline was discussed. This led to a new application by Williams, and Hochul has since expressed a willingness to consider the project, emphasizing the need for compliance with all relevant laws while acknowledging the potential benefits amid soaring energy prices. The Northeast Supply Enhancement project aims to expand the Transco pipeline, a vast network stretching from Texas to New York. The proposal involves laying approximately 23.5 miles of underwater pipeline, with 17.4 miles in New York state waters, to transport natural gas from Pennsylvania to Queens, providing supplemental energy to Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island. Construction methods include jet trenching, clamshell dredging, and horizontal directional drilling, designed to minimize environmental impact. However, compensatory mitigation may be necessary for unavoidable impacts on benthic resources, including shellfish. Environmental activists, who previously campaigned against the project, warn of potential harm to the New York Bay's ecosystem, which has seen significant recovery. The State Department of Environmental Conservation had previously denied a water quality certification permit in 2018, citing potential significant impacts on water quality and habitats. A report by the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis in 2020 suggested that the pipeline could cost $1 billion, with ratepayers in affected areas potentially bearing a significant financial burden. The public comment period is now open, with a deadline of 5 p.m. on August 1st. The state will review these comments to decide whether an adjudicatory hearing is necessary before making a final decision on the permit application. Comments can be submitted to DPEnergy at december.ny.gov. This development raises important questions. Should economic benefits outweigh environmental risks? How should communities balance energy needs with ecological preservation? We invite you to share your thoughts and join the discussion. New York pipeline back? NESE project review begins amid controversy. A long-dead pipeline project is back on the table in New York, reigniting debates about energy policy, environmental responsibility, and political influence. State regulators have officially accepted a completed application for the Northeast Supply Enhancement line, a natural gas pipeline expansion that had been rejected years ago. This marks the first major infrastructure review under President Trump's second term and sets the stage for a high-stakes clash between federal energy priorities and New York's climate goals. The process begins with opening the application to public comment, a step that happened this week. The pipeline, which would extend from Pennsylvania through New York and New Jersey, was revived by Oklahoma-based Williams Company, fueled by White House executive orders promoting fossil fuel production and recent diplomatic talks between President Donald Trump and New York Governor Kathy Hochul. These discussions reportedly included efforts to restart a stalled $5 billion offshore wind project off Long Island, which Trump's administration paused in April. But here's where it gets controversial. New York has some of the most aggressive climate targets in the nation, aiming to drastically cut carbon emissions by 2030. Critics argue that approving this pipeline would undermine those goals. Mark Eisman of the Natural Resources Defense Council called the project a flatly inconsistent with New York's climate commitments, echoing concerns raised during previous legal battles that blocked the pipeline and a similar project, the Constitution Pipeline, due to environmental risks. And this is the part most people miss. The pipeline's revival isn't just about energy, it's about politics. Trump's "a drill, baby, drilly" rhetoric has resurfaced, with new executive orders fast-tracking permits for natural gas projects. Williams cited these policies in its application, while National Grid, an energy company, recently updated its plans to include the pipeline as essential for meeting demand in Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island. Governor Hochul, meanwhile, has taken a nuanced stance. She acknowledges the need to balance rising energy costs, currently a through-the-roof, with environmental commitments. "I have to look at this in a different lens," as she said in May, emphasizing her commitment to our climate goals while remaining open to projects that meet state and federal standards. However, environmental advocates warn that such decisions risk locking New York into a fossil fuel-dependent future. The stakes are high. The Northeast Pipeline would run through densely populated areas, while the Constitution Pipeline would connect Pennsylvania to New England. Williams claims the project would create over 5,000 jobs and save households thousands in heating costs annually. Yet opponents, including the Sierra Club and local communities in New Jersey, argue the environmental costs far outweigh the benefits. Keyport, New Jersey, recently passed resolutions opposing the project, citing risks to waterways and ecosystems. What's next? The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation will evaluate the application, considering both economic and ecological impacts. Meanwhile, the public debate continues. Should New York prioritize short-term energy affordability or long-term climate resilience? As Governor Hochul weighs her options, one thing is clear: this pipeline isn't just about pipes and gas. It's about the future of energy, the environment, and the power dynamics shaping it. What do you think? Are the potential economic gains worth the environmental risks, or should New York double down on renewable energy instead? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Natural gas pipeline controversy, Trump's revival and environmental concerns. A major natural gas project is back on the table, thanks to a push from the highest levels of government. The proposal to lay 17 miles of pipeline under the ocean floor near Staten Island and the Rockaways has reignited a heated debate about energy infrastructure and environmental impact. Just weeks after President Donald Trump announced his support for the project, a subsidiary of the Oklahoma-based Williams Companies has submitted a complete application to New York's environmental regulators. This move comes after Governor Kathy Hochul signaled openness to the project, reversing the state's previous rejection in 2020, which cited noncompliance with water quality standards. Williams, a company that supplies one-third of the nation's natural gas, describes the Northeast Supply Enhancement project as more than just an infrastructure upgrade. They see it as a strategic investment in the region's energy future. The company claims that the pipeline could be operational by winter 2027, delivering enough natural gas to power 2.3 million homes. This is particularly significant as the demand for reliable energy continues to grow, especially in densely populated areas like Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and Long Island. But here's where it gets controversial. The proposal has been met with strong opposition from environmental advocates. Catherine Nadeau, a deputy executive director at Environmental Advocates NY, argues that every new pipeline locks the state and the country into a future dependent on fossil fuels. She points out that the costs are not just financial but also include rising asthma rates, flooded homes, and billions spent on rebuilding communities affected by climate disasters. New York knows better. It's time to act like it, as she emphasizes. The project's timing is notable, coming in the wake of a recent heatwave that strained New York City's electrical grid, causing power outages for over 100,000 Con Edison customers. Experts attribute the grid's vulnerability to the state's transition away from fossil fuel-burning power sources without a sufficient clean energy alternative in place. According to project documents, the pipeline would run beneath the ocean floor of Raritan Bay, east of Staten Island, and south of the Rockaway Peninsula, connecting with existing infrastructure. However, the new application must also comply with state climate regulations, which mandate that 70% of the state's power come from renewable sources by the end of this decade. The application acknowledges the need for mitigation measures to offset the impact on benthic resources, such as shellfish, which are crucial to the ocean ecosystem. These resources include fish, seagrass, and worms, highlighting the potential environmental consequences of the project. Nadeau and other environmental advocates argue that these pipeline projects are a step backward. New Yorkers are working to build a clean and healthy energy future that powers our economy and communities, and pipelines have no place in that, as she states. The Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis estimated in 2020 that the project would cost over $1 billion to construct. Under the proposed terms, ratepayers in Long Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island would collectively bear nearly $193 million annually for 15 years to cover the construction costs. The pipeline project first emerged in March during negotiations between Governor Hochul and President Trump over congestion pricing. Trump expressed a desire to see both the Northeast Supply Enhancement and another upstate project, the Constitution Pipeline, move forward. He even hinted at using federal powers to ensure the project's completion, though he hoped it wouldn't come to that. And this is the part most people miss. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation is currently accepting public comments on the new proposal until August 1st. This is a critical opportunity for residents to voice their opinions and concerns. What do you think? Is the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project a necessary step toward ensuring reliable energy, or does it represent a dangerous commitment to fossil fuels? Share your thoughts in the comments below. National Grid's new bid